Welcome to Thoughtfully Fit Thursday. I am Darcy Loma, and I'm joined today by 4 participants who just finished an intense 4-month leadership series called Thoughtfully Fit, Increase Your Impact. So thank you to Lauren and Mary and Ryan for joining me. There was a group of 24. We actually had 2 cohorts who went through this virtually over the last 4 months. And they're here today to share a little bit about their experience, their insights, what they learned and took away from it. And so just to set the container, set the stage for the conversation, I want to give you an overview of this leadership series. So in the first month, we talked about leading yourself and how that's your most important use and tool is use of self and how you show up in any situation. And of course, we grounded it in the core of Thoughtfully Fit, Pause, Think, Act. Then in the second month, we expanded to how do you lead with coaching and how do you take a coaching approach to managing and connecting with others instead of jumping in to fix and solve. We went from there in month 3 to leading with courage and how to have balanced conversations and how to have the courage to state what you want and need and the curiosity to find out what someone else wants and needs and to be able to find the win-win. And then this month, we just are finishing, we're in the final month, is leading during conflict. And how do you respond thoughtfully when you're blindsided? And we looked at the Thoughtfully Fit practices of agility and flexibility. So with that, I'm going to open it up. And I'd love first for each of you to introduce yourselves and let us know who you are. So I'll just start with Lauren, if that works.
That works. Hi, my name is Lauren Lopez Gonzalez. I am, well, this is my second go around with Darcy. I actually brought in the group for my personal team, and there's a story behind that. But I work for Milwaukee Recreation now. I've lived in Madison, and so that's kind of how I'm connected to this group. So I'm excited to talk more about that as we move along, but that's who I am.
Which is great because you had an opportunity first to have the Thoughtfully Fit model with your team internally in the organization. Then you chose to go deeper on your own.
I did. I chose to go deeper, and I know that we're going to be able to explore that a little bit more today. But it was something that I saw. The timing was absolutely perfect for the pandemic to be able to participate in something like this for my team in the beginning of the stay-at-home orders. Mm-hmm. And it really was just a motivation for me to say, wow, I can do more, I can grow more. And so I chose to participate even further with the training.
Thank you, Lauren. How about Ryan?
Yes, my name is Ryan Miller, and I work at Oliver Wyman and recently was promoted to a principal, which is most of the reason why I'm choosing or chose part of the course is to understand if I'm taking on a more of a managerial role, what can I do to increase my effectiveness there.
And Ryan, knowing that you were promoted and we have allegedly more responsibility, more stress, was it hard to hit the pause button to invest in yourself in this way?
Absolutely. I mean, I work crazy hours to begin with, especially this time of the year. It's our busy time of year. So taking the extra time out of my schedule is challenging sometimes, but I think at least I'm starting to get more of the benefits now to say, okay, instead of not hitting the pause button and having to deal with the repercussions of that, knowing that I can hit the pause button helps me be more productive in the short term, and it helps everybody else within the organization that works with.
Yeah, that's great. And you're a new dad.
Yes.
That adds a whole other dynamic, right?
Yes.
Great. Thank you for being here, Ryan. And Mary, welcome.
Hi, yeah, I'm Mary Blebaum. I work at Wyden, a Madison-based technology company, and I first found out about Thoughtfully Fit from my leadership team at Wyden. Several of those members have participated in it, so it's kind of cool to have heard great things about that training and then get to experience it in person and then see the tactics that they've used when working with me. And how to be able to recognize that and be like, oh, now I can start mirroring this to the people I'm mentoring and coaching with this new skill set.
Mm-hmm. Which is great. And one of the things, Mary, I've loved about partnering with Wyden over the past few years is they have, you have a culture of professional growth, personal development. Your president all the way through really believes in investing in employees and in the team members.
Yeah, that is exactly why I've stayed with Wyden so long. I've been there for 6 years, and we have staff members that have been there up to 30. And it's really that growth mindset and really seeing from leadership, them carving that opportunity for us to continue to learn and grow together.
Yeah, love the culture at Wyden. So let me start with the first question. What you would like to share about what new awareness you gained over the last 4 months and investing in yourself in this way? And I'll just open it up to whoever would like to jump in on that one first.
Okay, so I will go first actually, because this is something I think even by going first, it's something that I've realized is innate in me, is that I tend to lead with my passion a lot. And so sometimes, it's a great thing to lead with your passion. It shows that you care, that you're empathetic, and sometimes though it can overtake your own personal emotions. And I was able, through Thoughtfully Fit, I was able to define who I kind of was as a person and what that actually means. So in my situation or in my persona, I like to get things done and kind of just move quickly. And I had to really take a step back and pause, just like the model says, to say, whoa, let me slow down and let me think about how others are feeling in this situation, how they might be receiving the way that I am moving forward and the way that I'm acting. And so that awareness to understand that I tend to move or want to move faster and before others take a step was really eye-opening for me to be able to stop and slow down.
And it's one of those notions where our strengths taken to the extreme can become a weakness. And so your passion is such a tremendous strength you bring to the table. And it sounds like the awareness you had is that at times it can be too much, and sort of allowing space or slowing down a little bit for the other team members is important.
Slowing down for me has allowed me to be open to allowing others to help me. And that in and of itself has helped me leaps and bounds. I didn't mention this earlier, but I'm a mom of a toddler. And the ability to stop, slow down, and realize that I don't have to barrel through and move forward to get it done so that I can take something off my plate has allowed me to get better ideas, grow better opportunities of events that we host at Milwaukee Recreation, because I can stop, look and listen really about, just what others are thinking and what ideas they may bring to the table. So that's an awareness that has helped me a lot in my communication style with my team and in the work that I'm doing.
Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah, and I think for me, the big awareness is I'm just more emotionally aware. Not only in the sense of what triggers me, but also realizing that other people are going to be sending me emotional signals, and I need to listen to those signals. They may not be words; they may just be their facial expression. And realizing that if I can tell somebody's not reacting well to something, to say, maybe we need to table this and revisit this later this afternoon, tomorrow. Let's think about this a little bit more. Instead of saying, okay, here's what I really want done, and if I'm confused about it, let's talk about that now. Letting them absorb a little bit more, letting me say I need to step back from the situation before reconvening later.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, Thoughtfully Fit is grounded in a lot of leadership philosophies. One of them is emotional intelligence. And what you're talking about there, Ryan, it sounds like being aware of your own emotions, right? That self-awareness and self-managing, and then also having the awareness of others' emotions and being able to have that relationship management. Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, for me, the biggest awareness point was my tendency to act. So similar to like what you were saying, Lauren, like I can get really passionate about something and it doesn't have to be one of my core responsibilities. When working with my team members, I used to, instead of being their leader, I was embedded on the same team as them. And so I'm like, I know how to solve your problem and I can do it quicker. And like, I know who to talk to and I can get this out to customers in 2 seconds. Where I'm now thinking differently about that, like taking that moment to pause and think before jumping into action. and trying to be more of that effective coach versus directly telling them how to solve their problem.
I love that you're saying that, because even what did Darcy call it in our trainings, like just collecting more monkeys to put on our back and more, versus giving someone else the opportunity to learn, right? Like it seems so simple, but it makes so much sense. So yeah, I totally agree with you, Mary.
Especially when, Mary, you went from being a colleague to being in a new role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was like I got promoted to that role because I was great at solving problems. And then it's like now just having to change my hat from contributor to leader was kind of that hurdle to get over. And I still catch myself wearing the wrong hat, but I know I'm making improvement there because of this coursework we've done together.
Ryan, it sounded like you were going to jump in. Do you have something to add?
Yeah, I think I can relate to the monkey problem. Sometimes it is just so much easier to get something done. But then what I tell myself is I keep a running list of tasks that I need to do, not just in the very short term, but the longer term. And I look at that list and I'll say, I have all these other things I need to do. I'm just going to reply to this email somebody sent me and say, hey, I think we need to make a few changes. I know I'm probably capable of making those changes, but at the same time, if I go look at my list and I say, well, this is all the other stuff I have to do, I think somebody can go back and redo what I'm looking for.
Absolutely. And not to mention, to just build on what you're saying, that it then gives the other person the opportunity to build up that skill set and to shine. And so not only in this immediate moment, it might take a little bit more to train them and mentor them to do it, but now every time moving forward, instead of them handing off this monkey for you to care and feed, they will be able to handle it.
Yep.
And that's so, I can't say that enough. I'm recently in a situation where we're planning a family movie night, and even just solving a problem, when you pass that on to someone else and give them the practice, then you're going to learn from their skill set. And that's something that I realize, like, even though like Mary just said, we're in these positions because we can solve problems, we can make decisions, we can get things done. It's okay to step back and learn something from someone else and give them a chance to grow too, because then you can take a day off if you need to, because they're there solving problems too.
Yeah, not only if you need to, like, take a day off.
Take a day off. Yeah, I know.
Find some stillness, right? Yeah, so I've already heard some obstacles and hurdles that you are sharing. The model of Thoughtfully Fit is based on the 6 biggest obstacles that we have seen thousands of employees, leaders, managers, teams struggle with. So I'm wondering if you could share an obstacle that you maybe encounter and what new awareness you had from in the series about some of your hurdles or obstacles.
I think one of the big hurdles I find myself facing is listening. And it's not that I don't listen. I typically find myself trying to listen with the intent of responding instead of saying, let me just absorb the information. If there's a thought that comes to my mind, I'm automatically thinking about X, Y, and Z as part of that thought. Instead of thinking, well, wait a minute, I really need to focus and get back as part of the conversation here with other people. Really kind of and so for me, that tends to be an obstacle. And how I overcome that, and sometimes you just have to say, no, I'm going back into the conversation. I need to either hold a finger and say, okay, I have one thought, and I'm holding my one finger because I know I have that one thought, or a second thought comes up, I'm holding 2 fingers. But just keep listening, and then say, okay, here's what I'm hearing. Here are the 2 thoughts that I have.
In terms of obstacles for myself, the obvious are kids and the pandemic, right? But the other thing that I found myself doing when going through this training with Pause, Think, Act is that other people aren't aware that you have this new awareness about the way that you're learning and the way you're communicating. And so there might be surprised and caught off guard that you're not barreling through and getting it done, because now you're asking them to help and do something, right? And so it's just kind of funny to me, because it's just something that I'm realizing, like, oh, I want them to grow, and now, oh, I have to check myself and say, I need to make sure that they know that I want them to grow, that I'm not just putting something on their plate or having them think this through, to coach them to think things through, and then to make decisions and then to act, right? And so that's been kind of funny for me because of that reason, like this new way of communicating and being okay with being uncomfortable in certain levels of communication when you ask for something that you need, because that doesn't, when you say what you need to, like, we're not used to that all the time in doing that, right? So that may make someone else uncomfortable, but being okay with that space is really, really important.
Which is great. We talked about how to design your alliance, and going back and one person had shared that they were really vulnerable and said, I'm going through this course, I'm learning new stuff, I'm going to show up differently. It's going to be messy. It might feel uncomfortable, but I really want to give it a go.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll plus one what you were saying, Lauren and Darcy. Like, for me, it's kind of like wearing these different hats. Like, in certain contexts, I have to be a mentor where I'm working more closely with someone to solution. And other times I have to be more of that coach. And I've had a lot of meetings in the last few months that there's been lots of awkward pausing because people will like look at me and be like, are you going to say something? Like, we're waiting for your response. And I just sit there, and then like as I'm sitting there, reflect and think, like, what question can I ask? Like, how can I get the rest of the group talking or thinking about something that I might have said? So there's a little bit of like influence there, and figuring out then, how to effectively get others involved. But designing an alliance did help some of that awkwardness. I know with a couple of my employees, they had voiced to me that they were like confused by the way I was acting. Or they were like, one of my newer employees was like, it seems out of character for you to be so quiet. And I was like, no, it's totally with intention. I feel like I should have warned you that I was trying out this new stuff. So it was great. We had like a really open conversation. And then since then, like, she has voiced to me when she does want me to be like more involved. So like just figuring out that balance has been a little bit of an obstacle, but is like getting better.
And it really speaks to the level of trust that you have, Mary, that they felt comfortable to come to you and say, you're different. What's going on, and why are you different? And that you could say, oh, yes, I am. I'm working on being different intentionally. And I can imagine that is uncomfortable because you're used to what you're used to. Which brings me then to the final question, or in this case, I guess it's not a question, but I'd love to just hear if there's a tip that you would be able to share that might help somebody who's watching and listening who wants to increase their impact.
For me, if I may go, because I've been, I thought about this a little bit, and even for myself, the tip that I would share with everyone who is thinking about doing this training or participating in some way in whether we pick up Darcy's book in a few weeks here, is to let people in. Like, that's, for me, is huge. Like, letting you in to know why things are stressful or where the challenges are. And so when you let people in, again, eye-opening for me, you're allowing for someone to perhaps, help you or give you a tidbit of advice that you may need, or take something off your plate to support you. And that will also help you grow, because then you can move on to the next thing that you want to do, or the next part of whether it's your job or your event or your task or your responsibilities. So just let people in and take that risk, because then you can just breathe a sigh of relief, take that time for yourself when you ask for help and things like that, and just move forward and grow.
And part of what I'm thinking when you say that, Lauren, is letting people in requires you at times to let your guard down, to be vulnerable, to like take the armor off, and that can be scary. And yet vulnerability breeds vulnerability, which breeds trust.
I don't want to have an emotional moment right now, but that is spot on. So thank you, Darcy, for that.
Yeah. Thank you.
For me, I think the tip is coach when you can, instead of trying to be a manager all the time. It's just people tend to be much more receptive to a coaching approach rather than the typical manager approach.
So can you, bottom line, this is like a pop quiz, Ryan, for people who are watching and saying, well, wait a minute, what does that even mean? If there was one tip around you as a manager switching from being more of a traditional command and control manager to taking a coaching approach, what if somebody's like, I don't even know what that means, what's one tip you could give or insight on what's different?
I think for me, it's more, I may be trying to get something out of myself for a conversation with somebody. And instead of saying, here's what I need you to do for me, try to think of it in terms of here's what you can do to help yourself. By the way, it helps me. But they don't really know that last part. That's how I'm now starting to approach my conversations with other people.
It's great. It sounds like it's more of a partnership and more of a dialogue instead of here's what I need or here's what you can do for me.
Yep.
Yeah, great. And Mary.
Yeah, I think my one tip is be curious. Like that's been something I've been trying to build on even before going through this process with Thoughtfully Fit, but I was more able to articulate what that meant. And it's really active listening, like understanding where others are coming from. And within that, then being able to build thoughtful questions and your own curiosity to continue that conversation with them and build up their skills and do some of that coaching that you were talking about, Ryan.
Yes. And it's, as you're sharing that, like that curiosity is what allows you, I think, to be able to listen. What Lauren was saying, or no, maybe Ryan was saying before about how listening can be hard if you go in without an intent to reply, but an intent to understand. That active listening can really shift the whole dynamic in the conversation.
Absolutely. And it makes people feel included in the conversation and lets others drive the direction too, which I think is something that's really powerful.
Yes, because when people have the chance to be included and they get to weigh in, they're going to buy in, right? There's a lot of research that says in order for somebody to embrace a new initiative, they need to be able to weigh in. Even if you decide to go a different direction, if you've given them the chance to be in dialogue about it, it's much more likely they'll get behind it instead of leave and sabotage it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I've got scrolling on the bottom. We have a brand new community in Facebook, a private online community, Thoughtfully Fit Encore. So if anybody's watching and is like, I want more, I want community, I want support, hop on and join us. It is with people like these amazing leaders who are wanting to invest in their, personal growth and effectiveness. So thank you all for joining me today. And we've got a couple weeks left in the series, so do your homework. And
okay, we'll do our homework. Yes.
Excellent.
I will tell you though, Darcy, your whole thing has made such an impact for us throughout this pandemic on specifically my team that I wish I could describe it to you in just a few seconds, but I don't think I can. But it has been amazing to have been able to do your program like this. So I appreciate it.
That is wonderful to hear. And there is no greater compliment. I am so passionate about this. And like you, I have to reel in my passion a little bit so I'm not stuffing it down people's faces. Because it just makes life easier, relationships easier when you're thoughtful.
It's true. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Darcy. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, take care. Have a good Thursday.